So are you asking yourself, what are the best times for cold calling motivated sellers? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down not just the best times, but the structure that we use in our business to make thousands of calls every single month and connect with the people that we want to connect with. These are things that we're doing every single day. So every week, it's a brand new video that we're dropping based on tweaks that we're making to our business and continued our success, right? So if you're new, consider subscribing. It's very valuable information. The thing that's more important than what times you call is that you call consistently. You have to make sure that you can stick to calling every single day consistently. I would say for a minimum of 2 hours every single day, and you will get a deal. If you can't stick to that level of consistency, the time of day isn't going to make a difference. All right? Because there is actually no magic time. It's just being consistent. Now, we do have, like I said, we have a plan that we follow that has worked out very well for us, and I'm going to share with you that plan. But at the end of the day, no plan can beat lack of action. So it doesn't matter what plan I give you. If you can't stay consistent and put in the work, it's just not going to matter what plan you do, right? You're not going to get the results. So when you are out there cold calling, you're trying to do this, I need you to understand it's number one is consistency. We get a hold of our sellers pretty much at all times of the day. We've gotten a hold of them at 9 in the morning, at 11, at 2 in the afternoon, at 7 at night. But what matters is the structured plan that we have, but it's also being consistent. If I call every single day at the same time, every single day for weeks, I will get a hold of some owners. You understand? Maybe not all of them, but I will get a hold of them. But if every time I call, I'm always like bouncing around from time zones and different times and all these things, it's going to make it very hard for you to be able to connect with people, right? Because now you're trying to like kind of predict when people are going to be available, and you can't do that. Like we've tried. You can't predict. So here's the structured plan that we like to follow when we do our cold calling. So we break it down into morning, afternoon, evening, and weekends. All right. So we have a list and we're cold calling this list. So what we typically do is we take that list and we say, okay, from 9 a.m. to noon, you're going to call this list. From noon till 5, you're going to call this other list. From 5 to 8, you're going to call this other list. And then on weekends, you're going to call this other list. And then what's going to happen is when you finish through one of those lists, then if you called them in the morning, you're going to switch to calling them again in the afternoon, and then again in the evening, and then again in the weekend. So what this does for us is there are people that work nights, so they're available in the morning. There are people that work all week, and they're only available on the weekends. There are people that work during the day, and they're only available in the evenings. You see the picture, right? People are available at all weird times, especially with the economy that we have now. That's that work from home hybrid model. Like people's schedules are pretty wonky right now. So by us doing it this way, we are able to control that this one list that we started in the morning. By the time we've called them 4 times, we've called them in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and in the weekend. So we increased our chances of connecting with that owner so much by simply doing all those things. And we're calling the same list. So we call it from the first phone number to the last phone number in the morning. You know, if let's say you are calling from 9 to 12 and it's 12 o'clock and you only got through a certain amount of them. Cool. You stop that list. Don't continue. Then what you're going to do tomorrow is from 9 to 12, you're going to continue that list. All right. Don't continue it because then it's going to skew your numbers. Then you're not going to know which numbers you called in the morning, which numbers you called in the afternoon, and it's going to become a mess. Right. So it makes it very hard to follow. Now, if you're saying, John, I don't have, 4 or 5 big lists or something, that's not a problem. Take the big list that you have, shrink it down, right? Like divide it into 4 lists and then call one section at one time, one section at another time, and so on. The biggest section you're going to have is from 12 to 5. That's the biggest stretch of time that you're going to have. So you can even play with that a little bit where you say, maybe I divide it from 9 to 1 and then from 1 to 5, right? So it's more even more or less. But then from 5 to 8, you only got those 3 hours. That being said, don't focus so much on those little nuances. Just focus on the structure. That if you call this list in this little bracket, then you want to make sure you finish that bracket with the whole list, and then you move that list to the next bracket. All right. And by doing this and by tracking what you're doing, you're going to be so much more successful. It's worked out tremendously in our business. And then we do this with follow-ups. So let's say we've gotten a hold of an owner, and now all of a sudden, we need to follow up or whatever, and they're not really answering our calls. Cool. Call them in the morning. They didn't pick up. Leave a tag to call them back in the afternoon. Leave another tag to call them back in the evening. Leave another tag to call them back in the weekend, right? So you're not having to think. So when I say leave a tag, the CRM that we like to use is REsimpli. I'll put a link below for you to get a discount on it if you wanted to check it out. But it's a CRM that allows you to add tags, reminders, all these things. So you don't have to be thinking about it. So you get an alert when you're supposed to be calling these people back. That way, I always get this came from, we were doing a lot of calls, a lot of follow-ups. And I would have one of my acquisitions people tell me like, hey, I've tried this person like 4 or 5 times and I haven't been able to get it through to them again. I was like, all right, cool. So when I look, it's like, yeah, but you try them 4 or 5 times at the same time you clock in every morning. I was like, why don't you try them in the afternoon or the evening or maybe on the weekend? Right. And then it's one of those things. It's like, well, yeah, I didn't think about that. I had to remember about it or whatever. So it's like, let's remove the thinking and the having to remember and mark it in your calendar. So if you called them this morning, set a reminder to call them this afternoon. You can hit the morning, afternoon, and evening in one day. Right. And then you mark it. If they didn't answer those days, then you call them again over the weekend. Right. So this will allow you to at least have some kind of structure that you can follow and train people on versus you just hiring somebody on and just telling them, just make a shit ton of calls and, we'll hope for the best. It's like, no, here's how we follow our structured calls. Here's how I want you to run this. This way they have metrics and things to follow. And then you're going to have, what this is going to allow you to do is allow you to have metrics for when you are trying to scale a marketing campaign or maybe remove a marketing campaign. If we've removed marketing campaigns because of this, we've come across campaigns that's like, man, this has not produced. And we follow this structure. Here are our metrics. People are just, they're not answering, or maybe most of them do answer. So the issue is like more, they're not motivated. We're getting through to people, but they're not ready to sell, whatever the reason may be. But now we stop wasting time and money chasing a list that's just not worth it anymore. Right. So this is going to give you that kind of structure and base to really go off of. So again, guys, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, you can text me directly. Just text the word YouTube to 210-794-9898. Just text the word YouTube and then ask your question. Whatever your question is, I'm always answering. I'm the one that's answering. So whatever you have, whatever you need, let me know. I'm here to help you guys out. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.